So this week in comic books, I almost said gaming again, comic books and books, we've got some stuff from the big two. First up, Marvel is bringing back the zombie universe in a fairly unique and honestly pretty horrifying way. Because this time, the plague starts with a trip to space and some parallels to the OG Marvel Universe. We're going to talk about it. And then speaking of revivals, a very strange revival is happening that's happening here in comics as well as in TV. We have a 90s cartoon that lasted a couple of seasons, but is still fairly obscure, is getting a comic book prequel and then a reboot over in TV. So we're going to definitely break that one down. And then to tie things up into a nice little bow for comic books, we're getting a glimpse of what is to come in the X-Men universe. We have a small taste of the future for the X-Men team inside of the lore that exists, and just a really interesting new book that's coming out. So let's crack open the first few pages on this week's episode of Comic Books and Book News. Hello nerds, welcome to the Clips channel. This is a clip, as if the channel name was not specific enough. This clip specifically comes from a show that I do over on the main channel called The Week in Nerddom. We are going to be talking about comic books and books very specifically in this clip. So news from the last week that has to do with everything comic books and books. Generally more on the comic book side, because the books side of things is kind of a little bit more slow going when it comes to nerdy content, but we do still cover it. So that being said, I appreciate you joining me. Let's get into the news.
Subscribe. That is all.
Comic books, follow-ups and corrections this week. We have a follow-up on the Webtoons situation. The Webtoons relationship with Penguin Random House is changing. It's evolving, I guess is the proper way to say it. So previously, Webtoons partnered with DC and was doing DC related things. They also partnered with Penguin Random House to do physical copies of the Webtoons comics. These are all things we've already talked about. But now the relationship is evolving and they're creating two actual physical imprints under Penguin Random House called Ink Lore and Ink Pop. They're both going to be similar imprints, rather. Both going to be similar imprints in that they're both going to cover similar topics in the where to go. I have a list of things. There it is. Romance, fantasy, science fiction, horror, and slice of life comics. But the difference between them is going to be Ink Lore is going to focus more on mature readers, and Ink Pop is going to focus on more young readers. So young adult and teen is going to be the fodder for Ink Pop. They have already seen some success with their initial outings under this venture, and they're also going to be releasing not only original stories for the Ink Lore and Ink Pop, but existing comics from the Webtoons back catalog are going to be released in physical form through this collaboration as well. So pretty cool. If you are a fan of the stuff over on Webtoons, go check out the website. You can find a link in the description that will get you to the website for a little bit more information. That's our one follow-up. Let's talk about some regular ass news. We got no trailers, sadly, this week. Regular ass news and comic books. We're going to start things off with Marvel Zombies. So Marvel Zombies getting rebooted, but not just any reboot. It is a Red Band reboot. Red Band being the mature line of comics that was started a few years ago by Marvel. Black Label over on DC would be the DC equivalent. And this sounds kind of awesome. Like, I'm a big fan of the original Marvel Zombies books. I have most of them in wherever my boxes are right now, not here at the house, but in storage. Love the Marvel Zombies stuff. And this is, it's been a while since we've gotten Marvel Zombie stuff because they concluded the story effectively. Now they're rebooting the story, and it's starting in a similar fashion. So if you'll remember, the original way this started is Reed Richards from Earth 1610 got communique from another Reed Richards in a different universe. We later learn is 2149, and he made it sound like they needed 1610 Reed's help, And so they convinced him to open a portal. It turns out that that Reed in 2149 was already a zombie, and the entire universe had been zombified, and they just needed more flesh to feast on. And so that was kind of the beginning. That's the backstory. It's not how it started. That's not like the first flavors of it that we got but that's like where we learn the creation of the Marvel Zombies universe comes from, right? That's what was covered in the original books. Well, it's still starting with Reed in this new red band version of the story, but a little bit differently. So the first family, the Johnny Storm, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, and Reed Richards go up to space just like they did in 68, I believe is when that originally happened. I have it in my notes, I'm pretty sure. 61, there we go. So back in 61, when that happened, they went up into space and they came back and they had superpowers. Powers. Reed Richards was all stretchy and stuff. Ben Grimm turned into a rock, and Johnny Storm could set himself on fire, and Sue Storm could turn invisible. Right? That's the Fantastic Four. That is the genesis of the Fantastic Four. Well, in this Red Band Zombies, that's all true, but also they have the zombie infection as part of what they come back with. So their superpowers are also zombie powers. And that's where the infection starts. And I feel like that kind of works a lot better. And I'm super excited to see where this goes. So it is going to be not going to be a mini, it is going to be on shelves. Oh, there's no release date for this just yet? I have not found a release date for this yet. That is unfortunate. You can double check my math though if you want to click the link in the show notes and double check. But yeah, as it stands right now, I have no release date in the notes, so I don't think there is one yet. But I can't imagine it's very far off because we already have previews and stuff for it. So I might just be wrong. Either way, something to look forward to. The other piece of regular S news, the next piece of regular S news has to do with an animated series from the 90s that you might not remember, even if you're a millennial like myself and you watched a lot of cartoons in the 90s. This one might have flown under your radar, because it flew under my radar for some time until I was into my 20s, honestly. And then I saw it on, I think it was on one of those like extra channels between the channels. It was a cartoon channel that was on the MeTV cartoons, I think. I can't remember exactly, but the name of the show is Wild West Cowboys of Mesa. It's related to the Ninja Turtles in that the guy who developed the show was an inker at Malibu Comics, was an artist and an inker at Malibu Comics, who for a while were the ones that were making the Ninja Turtles comic books. So that's how it's related there. Also, I'm pretty sure he had something to do in the background, not anything important, but something to do with the original Ninja Turtles animated series as well. So that's how this kind of came to fruition. But the book is, where are we? Right here. So it's going to be a 4-issue miniseries. It is being published by Oni Press, but the new company that owns the rights to Wild West Cowboys of Mesa is a company called Nacelle. That company is set to be at San Diego Comic-Con. They're going to have a bunch of freebies if you are at SDCC this year. If you want to stop by their booth number 2547, they have already planned out where they're going to be, and they want people to come by and get some of the freebies. It's going to be pretty cool. They have new action figures for this. This is kind of honestly really freaking huge. This company also has done other revivals. They did Battle Mice, right? That was the name of the show. I'm not brain farting that part. Oh, where did it go? Yes, Battle Mice, Biker Mice. There we go, Biker Mice from Mars. They did that. They did a number of other things we'll talk about in the TV side of things, because this is also getting an animated show attached to it. So prequel to the new animated show is what this 4-issue mini is going to be. And then our final piece of regular ass news this week has to do with Age of Revelation, the new X-Men book that has just been announced, that is going to be another Age of Apocalypse, but different. We have another timeline because we're moving into the future, and anytime we move into the future with the X-Men, it kind of means that we're starting a different timeline because it never sticks. Like Age of Apocalypse was supposed to be the future, but that's a different timeline from Cable's future, or was it Bishop's? Cable's future, because Bishop is Age of Apocalypse. It gets all confusing. It's comic books. So now we're starting another one like that. And this one is actually related to Age of Apocalypse, because instead of it being Apocalypse who's taken over the world, it is Apocalypse's successor that is taking over the world. That's all we really know. There are some preview pages that have been released so far, but that doesn't really give us much. If you want to follow the link in the description, there are also tie-ins that are planned for this that are going to be related to the current run of Spider-Man and the Avengers as well with this book. So that is what we have to look forward to in Marvel. It sounds like they're trying, so that's why I keep reporting on this stuff, because not everything's going to be garbage, but who knows until it comes out. So that is what we have this week for regular ass news. Let's talk about our suggestion this week. And honestly, if you didn't see this one coming, then you weren't really paying attention. Age of Apocalypse is our book. Imagine a world where Charles Xavier is dead. Apocalypse rules with an iron fist, and the X-Men are scrappy rebels fighting for mutant kind's survival. This book came out in '95. This is one of the quintessential books that you must read when it comes to knowing your history with the X-Men. It is the ultimate dystopian superhero saga, 30-year-old classic that is just as brutal and gripping today as it was back then. Magneto leads a ragtag resistance, Wolverine's one-handed badass, and Cyclops is Apocalypse's little bitch. I mean, enforcer. This alternate reality epic spans X-Men Alpha, X-Men Omega, and a few miniseries like Factor X, delivering very high-octane action. If you have not read it, you really need to. Places you can read it: Marvel Unlimited. If you have a subscription there, you've been able to read this for some time, including X-Men Alpha #1, X-Men Omega #1, and tie-ins of X Factor and Weapon X. Search for Age of Apocalypse on the app or on Marvel.com. Also, Comixology subscribers, you also can read this, available for your Kindle or Comixology Unlimited. And Hoopla, which is one I had never heard of before doing this. Hoopla is a library comic book service. So if you have a library card, you should be able to sign up for Hoopla, because they are in a lot of places across the country. So go check out Hoopla if you want to read it. There was hoopladigital.com if you want to go do it that way. Grab it digitally, binge it, however you got to do it, but that is your suggestion for the week. All right, nerds, interrupting real quick. We're doing the year of the merch push, right? So this whole season we're going to be pushing the merch, and this specialty merch that we have that we talked about last week, that I finally got up last week, is still going. We still have the special music nerd shirt, the Phantom Nerd, if you will. If you get the joke, then you are a fan of the channel, and I appreciate your face. If you don't get the joke, you just think it's a really cool shirt, then I also appreciate you. So don't worry about it. But I am super proud of this design. It's on everything. I finally found the zip-up hoodie, so it's now on the zip-up hoodie as well. We got it on all of the regular t-shirts. We got stickers. We got everything that your little nerdy heart could desire. I'm again super proud. Go check it out. Link in the description as usual. Go get your nerdy merch and support the channel that way. Otherwise, let's just get back to the show, shall we? Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.